Well, the issue on the burner right now for many people is the extended lockdown and the directives that we've had to continue. And as Kade would say, we're repeating this class as a country, especially in the various areas of Nigeria where the cases are intense. Joining us for this first phase of the conversation this morning is Christopher Isiguzo, who is the president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you would have a take or two on the whole thing about the directives, the enforcement, the alignment of the people, and all of those things. But first of all, let us begin. When you heard that issue yesterday of the strict enforcement and how it affects everyone, including essential workers as well as members of your union, how did you receive it?
Well, thank you and good morning. It came to me as a huge surprise when I got to hear about that, because journalists from across the country were calling us to find out how we're going to respond to that. We know that it's been changed already, but that was a very sad one, a terrible page that was opened in our nation's history. We know clearly that even during a war situation, where there is need for curfew to be declared, that those on essential duties are usually exempted. So when we got that, we felt that, first of all, I didn't believe it, actually, that was a very, very wrong one. But at about 10:30 or thereabout, the Force Public Relations Officer, Frank Mba, came up with another statement clarifying some of those issues. And this time around, those on essential duties are now clearly exempted. I believe that as a journalist, if you have your verifiable means of identification, there is no need for the security operatives to begin to harass you or intimidate you or assault you, as the case may be, so long as you are on a clear assignment to do your job. So I think that has been cleared. We don't believe that the police is going to undermine this relationship that ought to exist between them and, of course, the media. Granted, they have already rescinded that decision. So that's a good one.
But then you mentioned something that a number of people have also, shown some concern about, and that's the fact that some people on essential duties use the liberty they have, the pass they have to move around. They use that, they take that liberty for license and engage in other things. For instance, you heard a colleague earlier say that some security officials use their vehicles, and it was also reported in Lagos that they use their own vehicles to run commercial services. So for sometimes those who have opportunity to move around could take undue advantage of the opportunities that they have. Could that have been a reason why the police decided that, let's clamp down on everyone for a bit, let's see what we get?
Well, we are where we are at this moment in this COVID-19 pandemic challenge because of the way our people have responded to the orders, directives that have been issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. If we had effectively complied with the directives, I don't think that by now we will still be talking about lockdown and what have you. It's really a huge problem. Some people have taken advantage of the fact that they enjoy some level of immunity, so to speak, to continue to cause some problems in the system. It's not a good one, but even at that, we've made it very clear that it's not everybody. The fact that you're a security operative, you're a journalist, or you are a medical personnel, so long as you don't have any assignment from 8 p.m., of course, to 6 a.m., you don't have any reason being on the road. So it is strictly for those who are genuinely involved in one thing or the other that has to do with their job. So you don't need to, because you want to go and visit a friend and you have a pass, you begin to move around. This challenge that stares us in the face, it demands collective responsibility. All hands must be on deck. You know, so it's not because you are exempted, you now begin to take undue advantage, you know, of that. So I want to indeed appeal to journalists. That's my own constituency. I want to appeal to them that if you don't have any business within the curfew time, please, you've got to stay at home. But for those who have business to be in their offices, or they have closed from work and they're going home, then they should not, for any reason whatsoever, be harassed, intimidated, or assaulted by security operatives. This is the time for us to come together as a people, because if we continue to work at cross purposes, we are not going to effectively combat or contain this rampaging virus. So it's an appeal I'm making. Let us, within this period, try to adjust ourselves. Let's adjust our lifestyles so that this virus will quickly leave our system. But if we continue to defy some of these restrictions, lockdown restrictions, then we are not going to help ourselves.
Perhaps the challenge, you talked about us working at cross purposes, perhaps the challenge with enforcement or compliance, use the word compliance before enforcement, of these directives is in how we have been able to communicate the instructions, the directives, or even the implications of flouting these directives to the people. As journalists, media practitioners, we ask the salient questions, we report them in through the various media platforms, and expect that the people who read and listen to and watch our reports, they will take action based on those things and take responsibility. How well do you think the media has fared in that regard from where you stand as president of the NUJ?
Well, I think we've done appreciably well in communicating this message to the people. I was speaking with a commissioner of information recently, and I was trying to advise him on the kind of message he's reeling out to the public. He said that there are times that we need to really communicate fair. Yes, and I agree with him. There are times we need to communicate it that way so that people will really come to terms with the fact that there is a challenge that we have at this material point in time. Sadly, some people still don't believe that we have there is a COVID-19 in Nigeria. You can see that. That's a big issue. You know, so we've got to continue to draw it to their minds that this thing is real. And we've got to take it very seriously. So for the way we've been able to discharge this responsibility, I can tell you that we've done well in informing Nigerians of the existence of this virus. We've done well in educating them on how to take precautionary measures, because it's very, very important that we do same. And in some instances, of course, some languages have been used which, to an appreciable extent, entertains the people in order to tone down the panic, the tension, the fear, understanding that the fact that you've tested positive to this virus is not a death sentence. And, but you must ensure that you do all there is necessary not to contract the virus. So I think the media, despite the challenging moment, the difficult environment that we are operating here in this country, we've been able to do this job the way it ought to be done.
But how easy will that be, honestly, now? Because To communicate some of these things, you need to give people the picture of where we need to be. And I recall yesterday we were speaking with the Minister of State for Health, saying that is there a way to get, a breakdown of the goals we're trying to hit? So these are the daily figures we're trying to achieve, maybe less than 10 per day. We want to achieve, these number of deaths per day, number of tests, and all that. So people can look at that and say, well, this is where we're going, so I need to align. How difficult is our job without things like that, some of his specific goals out there?
Well, I think the point where we are at the moment is to get our people to comply with some of these directives out there. Most of our people are not yet, they are yet to come to terms with the reality. That's the truth. By the time we get an appreciable percentage of Nigerians to actually comply, because that's what the PTF chairman said yesterday, that our people must have to comply with these directives, And by the time that is done, we would have even reduced these daily cases that are being announced. That's the truth. Once we comply, the thing naturally will normalize, I believe, So by the time we get to that level, we'll now begin to, yes, the PTF will begin to set a timeline, so to speak. Look at, now we've recorded 226 today. By tomorrow, we are hopeful that it will continue to go down. And we'll get to maybe 100, we'll get to tens and all that. So, but for now, I think we are at the compliance point. Let Nigerians comply. Because if you look out there last night, I watched your bulletin, and you see the number of people that were still on the road, knowing full well that the curfew starts at 8 p.m. You still see so many people are out there. What are they doing? Even those that are not on essential services. You see them, they are still, caught up on the road. We should bear in mind that there is a template out there. At 8 p.m., you've got to be home. And you have to program yourself. Assuming you stay in a place where there is traffic gridlock, you should be able to know that, okay, you're going to spend 3 hours, or you're going to spend 2 hours, or you're going to spend 4 hours, as the case may be. You program yourself. You plan it out so that, let's say, around 5 p.m., you should be able to tidy up whatever it is you are doing and head home. Around 4 p.m., if you are such that stay at a place where you need 4 hours to get home, you program yourself so that you don't need to be caught up. Look at the number of people out there. That's not a good one. So I want to appeal to Nigerians, beyond journalists this time around. We've got to take it very seriously that we have a challenge with us already.
Okay.
As it stands now, clearly, our own lifestyles have changed. That's the truth. This pandemic has altered everything, and we have to accept it as the reality.
So would you say that
to 6 a.m.
Right.
Let's respect it.
I'm still talking about the goals we're trying to achieve, because I think it's important. We can't communicate enough if we don't have a goal. Do you think that the goals we have, maybe from the PTF, from the different bodies, the task forces at the state level, do you think they are smart enough? When I mean smart, I mean, are they specific, measurable, are they time-bound, and all that? Do you think they are smart enough for people to key in easily?
Well, I think the PTF, the Presidential Task Force, is doing a good job. With what they are doing, if it also trickles down to the state level, we believe, as they are doing theirs at the central government level, the states are also taking it down, the local governments are taking it down. I want to believe it is smart enough. It's very clear, As it stands now, Nigerians daily await the briefing from the PTF. And that's the truth. Initially, when the team was put in place, we felt that the media ought to have been represented in the team so that they also help in shaping some of the things they communicate. But sadly, we are not there. And we've continued to make that case because if you don't have the professional from the media perspective, guiding the team, it would be difficult to really get it down our own way, you know. But
when you say,
no matter how you look at it, they are doing enough. But we also have rooms to improve because, like you said, we should be able to have targets, set targets. We should be able to have timelines, what we want to achieve, and define them very clearly so that if, assuming we say by Monday, look at our target, and by Monday we don't meet it, we know that there is a problem. We now need to review our strategies because we cannot continue to do something, same strategy, over and over again, and you expect a different result.
Right.
You are going to continue to get the same result. At some point, we'll get 300. At some point, it comes to 100, and we think that we are getting to our El Dorado. The next day, it gets up to 200 and 300. That's not a good one. We're not really meeting that. So I agree with you. There is need to also have this, set targets, and for us to equally ensure that the way we communicate is smart enough for the people to embrace it, understand it, and key into it.
Quickly, I need to pick up on the point you mentioned about media not being as involved as you would expect to. Now, we see the PTF's briefing daily. It's pretty much an interactive session between the media and the PTF on COVID-19. So are you saying that there should be something more, something beyond that? Because you have also said that we can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So are you suggesting maybe a different approach aside that or in addition to that? What exactly are you suggesting?
What we are saying is very clear that before the PTF comes, the team comes to brief. There is always the backstage understanding they have. That's the truth. They stay at the backstage. Okay, look at the way we are going today. And in that meeting, the only person possibly standing in for the media is the Minister of Information. We needed somebody that is in the system to have been part of it. So when they have that understanding, okay, look at the way we would do it, they now come out and communicate. Yes, I agree with you, it's interactive. Our people are there asking questions and all that. But beyond asking questions, normally when the PTF chairman comes, there is a script that he reads. Before getting to that script, there must have been an understanding amongst the team members. So that's what the case we made from the beginning, But I think we've gone beyond that at this moment. But let us continue to be effectively involved in what is going on so that the message will be a lot clearer from the media perspective to the public.
I'll pick up on that maybe in a different slant. From what you have said in your response to the past two questions, it seems that there is a question on the communication strategy of the PTF over time. What the media does is to report what the PTF COVID-19 says and what the states, intervention agencies and teams do, and what the NCDC does and all of that. That's what we do. We report and we question, we interrogate the issues. But looking at the entire communication strategy of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to the various social strata, the A class, B class, C class, D class, E class, how effective do you think that communication strategy has been, given what you said earlier, the number of people that you see on the roads at times when they should not be on the roads? How effective has that communication strategy been, and what do you think we should do better in this new class, in this repeat class that we are?
Okay, thank you. If you look at the situation in some other countries, apart from communicating, coming to brief, we get pictorials from some of these isolation centers. The pictorials, we say that a picture can explain things in 1,000 ways. There's nothing wrong with also showing some of these pictorials from our isolation centers. You are not really unveiling the identities of people there. You know, let Nigerians also see the reality. Apart from the communication, like in the course of this program, I talked about the number of people that are on the road. And immediately you flashed it to show that, look at what we are saying, putting life to what we are saying here. Look at the reality. So many people are on the road, which means they are yet to come to terms with the reality. So we've got to move a step further. Look at what is happening at our isolation centers. Look at the people that have been caught. Much as we are discharging people, people are also dying. That's the truth. So let's not be carried away by the number of discharged persons. People are also losing their lives. So let everybody come to terms with that fact. And we've got to communicate it. As we brief every day, let the pictures speak further to the people. At the state levels, at the local government, let them take it seriously. It's not just about distributing palliatives. That's not the key thing at this material point in time. The reality is that there is a health emergency, a health challenge, which, of course, has snowballed to an economic challenge. You know, so let it be real. Let people see it. You know, at our different places where we've kept people across the country, let us see what is happening. And not just reeling out figures like NCDC is doing. Let them see it. Look at it. People are in the isolation centers and they are there. It's not imaginary. It is not guesswork. It is real. That way, our people will now begin to really, yes, this thing is serious. Perhaps they will start complying more. The compliance level will be higher. And once that is done, you see that, of course, they will start to benefit from the positives. You know, that is it.
Really, I mean, we've had interviews, sessions with survivors. We've actually shown, you know, some videos from some of his isolation centers, but apparently this does not seem to be enough. But you pointed to something, and I'd like to briefly talk about that before we wind down. Is there a sense that a lot of things are shrouded in secrecy when it comes to, you know, the COVID-19 situation, the response, even maybe some of the treatment behind closed doors? Is there a sense of secrecy in the air when you relate with journalists around? Do you get that sense from them?
Well, for me, I understand how this thing works and the reality of the issue at hand. But if you go out there and interact with people, they still think there is more to it than meets the eye. So we need to clear some of these doubts. You've said, you've shown videos and all that. Let's do more. Let's do more of it, you know, so that people will know that, of course, this thing is clear, there is nothing to hide and all that. So I think the thing should be more open and let Nigerians see it as it is. Like it is done in some other climes. It's very clear. Let's make it much clearer to our people.
Okay, another concern which you have also stated is the economic tailback of this whole COVID-19 thing, which of course we are reporting it, but that's perhaps one excuse that a number of people have given for the reason people are, you know, so many on the roads in different parts of the country. But we have to thank you so much for being our guest this morning. Christopher Isiguzo is president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
All right, we're back in a moment for another related issue. Please stay with us.